Right. Set the points when you used to do it with a feeler gauge or even a matchbook. We would use it. So all those years as growing up, I was around heavy equipment, well, more so automotive, and he did equipment, and I just learned it that way. And then when I went off to, then through high school, I wanted to play baseball, and she says, you're going to work, you're going to do appraisals. So I did auto appraisals as a 15, 16-year-old, started driving. I was making pretty good money for my age. I got paid like the regular guys did. So that's the way I learned it. And then went away to college and did some studies in insurance. There were courses in insurance. I should have majored in insurance rather than business management. But it all worked out, and then I came back out of school. I had an interview at the time with International Harvester, but that's when the economy was pretty bad. Back in the days when Jerry Ford had wind and the gas crisis and stuff. So I just kind of said, that's his job. I went back to work with my father's company and his partner. And the fellow that was working for him, a guy by the name of Bob Smith, he just got up and left. And he left a stack of files like this. My dad, what the heck? So I just came in, grabbed the pile, and started working them. A week ago later, he comes in because my dad was out of town. What happened to that stack? So I took it and finished it. You what? He had it on his mind, and holy man. So then they sent me to Vail Tech. That was a school that had an automotive school. I don't know if they still have a class.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure.
And as I look back, David King, which I didn't really know at the time because I was getting started, who worked with Canal, he was a classmate of mine.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And in fact, I don't know, I haven't seen David King in a while. Things move on. Those 30 years are catching up to 35. We're headed to 35. So that's basically the background I had, and then I just started working equipment claims since basically a little kid and kind of grew into it.
When did you first hear about the Claims Council, or how did you become part of that?
It was actually did national indemnity work. And old Matt Byers told me about it, and I was aware of it, but I knew it was a pretty tough group. I got a application, and Steve, it must have been in my drawer for a good, it was with 83. It had to be in my drawer for about 6 years because I knew you had to have 5 years experience, and I wanted to be confident that I was able and capable to be and qualified to be in the council. So I finally put the application in, and I couldn't find a sponsor because Bill Fergus, he said, I don't know you. I didn't know who else. He was the closest member, and you had to have a company sponsor and an adjuster sponsor. I couldn't find one. So they decided, rather than have an adjuster sponsor, I would take a test. And I was the first person that took a test.
Lucky you.
It was Ray Serafini, who's the fellow that was from Seattle. He was president. And, Northland.
Evers? Or Bill Lyle?
Not Bill Lyle.
Not Bill Lyle.
No, it was,
Jackie, wasn't Jack Evers? Was it? Okay.
Oh man, they drilled the heck out of me. And fortunately, Matt Byers, working claims through him, he would say stuff to me. What is COC? Combined additional coverage. Yeah, and then he would explain to me. And then there was the bulletin book that came out. It was like case studies that were legal. So I would study that and just grab information that would educate me. And I finally figured, I'm ready to become a member. Took that test, and Jerry Curtis, that's who it was.
Okay.
He was president way back he was from Seattle, I think.
Okay.
So those fellas just put me in a room, and they didn't have an agenda already. They just
shooting things.
pulled out questions. And fortunately, Ray Serfrey said, boy, he knows more than the old man. No, I didn't let it go to my head. But it was pretty much not me doing this, but basically, I felt confident that, hey, I'm qualified.
Yeah.
And since then, I've enjoyed it and still learning.
Yeah, I think the guys back then were probably maybe a little tougher because maybe they were shooting questions, because now they've got an organized, list of questions that they ask. I mean, they're not all easy, but these guys, I know my former boss was the same way when I interviewed with him.
Mm-hmm.
Just, what do you know about this? What do you know about that? And how fast can you think on your feet, kind of thing. And 35 years later, here you are.
And it's funny that the question that was asked me out of the blue was somebody asked me what COC was. And it was just a blessing and luck that a week or two prior to that, there was a claim that we did, because that's kind of a different coverage question rather than liability or
combined additional coverage, yeah.
Yeah, which is different than collision or comp. It was a COC. And doggone it, there just happened to be somebody asked me that question, and I knew the answer. If it wouldn't have been for Matt just sharing business, talking, and me remembering, I wouldn't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
So it was good
Nice
old
to
Matt
have.
Byers, because I happened to do a lot. He was the examiner for a lot of, and then there was old Spiker too. Oh man, it made me shake my boots when I was a young kid,
Intimidating. Yeah.
Yeah, but we continued to get quite a bit of work from him, so I figured, well, maybe we're doing it right.
Yeah.
So that's about
Do
it.
you have any times that you spent on committees or the board or?
Yeah, I was on the board. I was in the membership. I was on the membership committee.
Okay.
And one other function I forget, but I've been involved with the council.
Were you with the membership committee? So you were part of the testing too. So you got to be on the other side of.
Yeah, somewhat, because the testing then really got more, and then it was just sort of like what I experienced, to my knowledge, is that a group of us would get in a room with XYZ candidate or applicant, and boom, 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 and then it was decided that, wait a minute, the group decided that this isn't really fair because applicant X was taking one question test, applicant D was taking another, and they weren't consistent, is what it was discussed here at the meetings. And so then there was a testing committee that was created, and that's
so everybody's getting the same questions, or
yeah. In fact, I was talking to Tim Busher and Larry Runyon. Larry's involved with this current testing, and I said, "What's the test?" I said, "Is it more so? Is it 3-part, 2-part?" And they said, "Well, it's the oral exam, and I said, "Well, who developed the test?" And it was Betty Clayton when she was involved with the membership committee.
Yep.
She said, "We're ripping it up," and she was, to my understanding, which I learned this morning, the creator, somewhat of what we're using now, and somebody said it's pretty thorough.
Yeah.
And I know I had, whenever Brad Rankin worked for me, I prepared Brad to take the test, and part of it was coverage information, and I had him sit with Betty at the Portland, Oregon meeting a couple years ago. I was able to, hey Betty, would you, and she kindly sat down with Brad and basically asked him questions then of the test that she created. So that worked out. So I stayed involved that way, just trying to keep and feel with what was going on.
So you've seen a lot of changes over the years, 35 years.
Oh yeah. We used to have the breakout meetings, and I don't think we do that so much anymore. I think we talked about that last time. And then we used to all just, rather than a meeting room, we just sit in a room and just shoot it. Just say what you gotta say. It was old Chuck Herbert, Ray Serafini, and they used to just let it go.
Yeah.
And it was off the cuff, but it was just, you never knew what you were going to discuss.
Right.
It was interesting.
Any stories that you can share that don't have to be edited?
Well, the only one that I
remember
that, I think I mentioned it, Chuck Herbert had the meeting in Long Beach, and then that's where they have the Blue Goose or something that is it
Oh,
the
yeah,
Blue
the-
Goose, the plywood or
Oh, the one that
Howard
Howard
Hughes.
Hughes, Bruce Goose.
And then we were on the Queen Mary. So the entertainment after dinner, Chuck Herbert have all these like the Indian. Everybody,
Oh, we're talking Middle Eastern, the Indian. Okay.
that
Yeah,
kind of
the-
music that was. And everybody was sitting on the floor like a bunch of hippies in the ship, on the ship. And they just played this guru music. And then people had different kind of headsets, groups, and I mean, that was all Chuck Herbert. So something really kind of weird, but it was different.
Kind of threw you for a loop. It's like, wow, I didn't think of anybody being into this
And
kind
that
of
would
music.
be like Chuck Herbert. It was different. That's something I just don't forget. And then there was the time in a meeting when they had a conference call deal. Well, Jim Leonard was down in Tijuana, Tijuana. I guess he had a little too much, and he fell out over a railing or off of a upright and smacked. He really was hurt.
Oh man.
That story I remember, so I don't know that that's X-rated, but it was something that was almost tragic that I remember, and it was at a large business meeting that they called him on the phone, and we could all hear him. He was talking, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better, but he was pretty bad. This goes back.
When he fell off a dock or
it was like
boardwalk?
an overpass.
Oh, an overpass.
And the railing wasn't real high, and he fell back.
Oh my
How
God.
far he fell down, I forget. It's been so long. But I just remember the experience of hearing it was done, and they decided, Chuck arranged it, because I think they were partners of some sort.
Yeah, they were real close.
We need to call Jim Leonard up on the phone. And we were at a business meeting. Sure enough, you hear Jim like he's in the place over speakers about
Wow.
Yeah, I think he had a little too much.
But how long ago was this?
It's got to be a good 10 years, 12 years ago. It's
Oh
a
wow. I
while.
don't remember that. Wow.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Wow, he is lucky. It makes something like that to happen and still be
It
around.
was serious.
Well, you've been 35 years. It's it's like I know we've had other people that we've interviewed, and I apologize for having to do this for the third time, but we didn't have exactly the best surroundings and the atmosphere for when we tried it in San Diego. But I do appreciate you taking the time.
No, it's my pleasure. I've really enjoyed the council, and as you say, I've seen a lot of changes. I think very good, especially I was when you asked involved, I hosted a meeting, and the way they're hosted now is, you just give it to the adjuster. You have to open up a bank account for the monies and so forth, and then arrange who was going to speak and just basically the success of the meeting. But now we have, of course, Richard Bruce. We decided, the whole council, we realized from one gentleman to the next gentleman doing it, boy, this is tough. And an agenda that was worthy, the interesting. And then I had Jeff Trulock, who had been quite involved, one of the root companies, Canal, National Indemnity, that were the founding companies. He got up and spoke at a meeting that we have like this and told a history. I wish I would have recorded and had it, but things go on. But it was quite interesting from old Jeff Trulock. And Cloud, he was one of the original C-L-O-U-D, he always used to wear like a jumpsuit. He was one of the original members. I was attending meetings when one of the founding still yet members won. I think his name was Cloud or McCloud. He was one of the early members. So I've seen it go from beginning to hopefully not end.
So you're still young.
I have a little bit left in my pistol, so to speak.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think that's about it.
Is that it? Well, I appreciate you taking the time. It's just, you're flying in all the way from Hawaii. You get up. We're having lunch, and it's 7 o'clock your time.
Yeah, I should be eating breakfast.
It's almost like going from my time zone going to England. They're 5 hours ahead. Just trying to get used to. So I appreciate you taking the time, and
no problem.
And I know people will will enjoy watching the video and getting this, some of the feel, of the history of, you coming into the council and some of the other guys
it's been
too.
fun.
So.
I've seen a lot of changes, and I can say very honestly, I think it's good, the changes. It makes the it makes the council more stable and generates to its future in success. And of course, the company members that send people like yourself need to see merit and reason for spending the money. So if we've lasted this long, there has to be some positive roots that have been set.
Yep.
And
to get some good people and great people in this organization,
I agree.
and can learn something from everybody.
And I think too, I think it's important that I've learned from the years that I own my business that it's important to learn, but it's also important to socialize on a business level, which I think is very valuable and is just as great a learning tool.
Yep, I agree.
So I've enjoyed it.
Good. Well, thank you.
It's fun.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know where time goes.